Hi, I'm Hannah from Minneapolis. For a long time, my life was a living hell. But before I continue my story, please like and subscribe to the channel. I was born with a very rare condition. My ears were an unusual shape. They looked like elf ears. And from early childhood, they attracted everyone's attention. Despite the fact that my parents called me the most beautiful and unusual girl in the state, it was hard for me to believe that everything about me was all right. And these doubts about my appearance didn't come from nowhere. For instance, we were taking a group photo at a school party in the 3rd grade. Our new class teacher called me up, put a horrible hat on my head, covered my ears with it, and said sympathetically, "Hannah, I can only imagine how difficult it is for you to live with such a defect. Take this hat, it'll perfectly cover your unusual ears. And I recommend you to keep it on even during lessons, so you attract other children's attention less and makes it easier for them to concentrate on their studies," she explained. Ugh! I got so mad at such rudeness, I can't even describe it. And paying no attention to my classmates, I called this woman a witch and left the photo shoot with dignity. For this, she gave me 2 weeks of detention. But I knew that the teacher had treated me unfairly and crossed the acceptable line. Therefore, I wasn't going to be silent about it and wrote an article about what happened in the school newspaper. And the publication attracted the attention of the parent community. You should have seen the hype. The teacher who offended me was forced to resign from discrimination and violation of my rights to be the way I am from birth. However, the resounding fame after that ill-fated article overtook not only our resigned teacher, but also my already outstanding and attention-grabbing ears. The newspaper publication seemed to officially consolidate my status as a school freak, and I was teased by everybody. I fought back as best I could, trying to maintain self-control and not react to all these stupid jokes. But sometimes the cup of patience overflowed so much that it exceeded the acceptable mark and I exploded. But not with righteous anger against the offenders, as you might think, but with bitter tears in the school toilet. I'll share a secret with you. I really loved reciting poems of my own composition and dreamed of becoming an actress. And it seemed that such terrible ears wouldn't let this dream come true. My gloomy mood and decadent attitude towards life suddenly changed when a new girl named Rita was transferred to our class. She looked absolutely perfect and was the star of a children's TV show. Every girl at school wanted to be friends with her. She was their idol, and mine too, if I'm honest. For some reason, the new girl chose me to be her friend. With one nipping comeback, Rita could shut the mouths of all my offenders, who didn't dare to say anything back to her. And the fact that I began to sit with her at lunch and walk around the school in the company of the most popular girl changed the attitude towards me. Of course, no one began to love me, but the taunts and jokes of school bullies stopped, and that was more than enough for me. During the summer holidays before 10th grade, Rita starred in a jewelry commercial. And at the beginning of the school year, a real sensation awaited her. Classmates were literally at her feet, and other kids lined up to get her autograph. And in all this madness, I couldn't even have a word with my friend, who literally bathed in the rays of glory. Tired of the crowd of her fans, I began to spend a lot of time in the school backyard, where I was doing my homework in silence and writing my poems. After a while, I noticed that I was not the only one hiding in the school backyard, where I was doing my homework in silence and writing my poems. After a while, I noticed that I was not the only one hiding in the school backyard. A strange guy named Albie, a year older than me, sat alone here at recess, buried in books. His hair was bright green, and his sullen gaze scared away anyone who wanted to have a laugh at his looks. Once I decided to see what Albie was reading out of sheer curiosity, and before he showed up, I climbed the tree he usually sat under. My uncomfortable position made my legs go so numb that I lost my balance and fell right on this guy. Can you even imagine? Oh, the memories make me sweat and turn red. I'm still embarrassed. Naturally, Albie got angry and called me an idiot. I apologized, stammered, started muffling some excuses, and thereby confirmed his words about my intelligence. Meanwhile, the guy was studying me carefully. "Oh, I know you. You think you're so important, huh? You're the secretary of that intolerable upstart Rita. You follow her everywhere like an annoying sticker. That's what she tells all her fans," he said. His words made me blush even more. I protested and explained to Albie that I was Rita's friend, to which he laughed mysteriously but sympathetically, advised me to check the status of our relationship with Rita herself. What Albie said placed a grain of doubt in my soul. although I trusted my friend with all my heart. We'd been through so much together during our school years. I even considered it below my dignity to start this conversation with her. But since I constantly returned to this topic in my thoughts, I decided to clear things up and asked Rita if it was true that she introduces me to everyone as her secretary. My friend's face changed a little, and she even hesitated for a while. Hannah, please don't be mad at me. I value our friendship so much, so I ask you not to get offended. Yes, in an emergency, I tell especially annoying fans that my secretary is now calling the police, and for some reason your unusual appearance scares them away. I've been meaning to ask you not to hide in the backyard and accompany me everywhere I go. I really need your support and protection, frankly admitted Rita. And she also told me about some maniac from high school stalking her. He somehow got her phone number, calls her from different phones, gives her no peace, lurks near the school, and promises to kidnap her. Hannah, don't leave me. It's so important to me to have you by my side in this difficult time, Rita asked and hopelessly looked into my eyes. Of course I couldn't leave her in danger. I had to give up all my hobbies, and I literally became my friend's shadow. Very often, Rita didn't want to communicate with annoying fans and told them all questions to my secretary. And I was attacked by aggressive teenagers who for some reason believed it was I who did not let them near their adored Rita and took out their anger on me. And one day, right at the school, some idiot came up to us and started hitting on my friend. Baby, you're the sweetest girl I've ever met. I know I'll be your boyfriend and then we'll get married. I'm the prince you've been waiting for so long, he said syrupy. I immediately understood that this was that maniac Rita told me about, so I stepped between him and my friend, trying to protect her. Young man, the star is not ready to communicate with fans today. As her representative, I ask you not to come closer than 3 meters and not to touch her with your hands. Otherwise, I'll have to call the cops. I'm not kidding. I tried to say it intimidatingly, but for some reason my voice trembled treacherously and sounded high and childish. The maniac turned purple and grabbed my cheek. I didn't even have time to utter a word, and my friend suddenly disappeared. Honestly, my whole life flashed before my eyes. I thought this idiot would squish me right there, but suddenly the grip loosened, and I felt the oxygen flowing again. When my clouded consciousness got clearer, I saw the maniac was knocked out. He groaned loudly and rubbed his bruises, and I also noticed the tall guy with green hair rapidly leaving. Yes, it was Albie. And that day he saved me. I ran after him, but still didn't dare to call out to him. Albie went into the back room, and after a while I heard the sound of a guitar coming from there. Oh, what a melody it was! I have natural taste, and I immediately recognized the full power of talent and the potential of my savior. I quietly went into the back room, and with my heart aflutter, I listened to this soulful guitar playing. At the last cards, Albie noticed me in surprise and said that this was the first time he played his own music in front of someone. I jokingly congratulated him on the premiere, not forgetting to thank him for protecting me from the maniac. I write poetry, you know, but I've never read it in public. Even my friend doesn't know about it, so I understand you perfectly. I told the guy my secret to support him. Hearing about my poems, Albie lit up and asked me to read them. Well, since you've heard my music, now you owe me, Albie said in an unquestioning tone. And at the end of his sentence, he smiled sincerely like a child, and I couldn't resist. And the lines that had been held back inside me for so long poured out from my very heart. Under the gaze of this guy, at some point, my fears dissolved, and I felt an endless stream of creativity. Reality seemed to disappear. Albie began to play along on the guitar, giving the lyrics a special atmosphere and energy. It turned out very touching. Hannah, you're amazing. You know, there's an audition for this talent show on TV coming up. I'm sure you and I should go together. I feel some extraordinary synergy in our joint work, Albie suggested. And for the first time in my life, I liked the idea of performing in public. Albie and I came out of the back room as good friends and continued discussing the details of our future show in a lively manner. You can imagine my shock when near one of the classes, I saw Rita kissing the same maniac who nearly killed me. They didn't even pay attention to us. Albie noticed my surprised face expression and said that this maniac was Rita's new boyfriend. Everything was mixed up in my head. If this maniac is her boyfriend, then why did they put on this whole circus show today and almost injure me? And how did Albie know anything about it? Hannah, I'm ashamed to admit it, but Rita's my cousin, and I know a lot more about her than you can imagine. She's a terrible person that you need to stay away from. She's a selfish witch, and today's situation just confirms this. Rita and her boyfriend decided to make fun of you just out of boredom. It's her typical behavior, Albie said. But it was still hard for me to believe that my friend was capable of such meanness. Then Albie led me to Rita's locker, asked me for a hairpin, and opened the lock with it. He took out her personal diary from her locker and handed it to me, asking me not to get too upset. With trembling hands, I opened the notebook. In her notes, Rita made fun of all the teenagers she hung out with. On one of the first pages was a photo of me. My friend, or rather my ex-friend, drew huge ears to me like elephant ones and wrote, "The ugliest girl in school named Hannah. Against her background, I look even more impressive. This dumbass thinks I'm really friends with her. I wonder how long I can hide my disgust. In the meantime, let her be my secretary." For a second, a sharp heartache pierced me, but I immediately pulled myself together. It's great that I found out about Rita's true feelings now. I let go of the situation and simply disappeared from the life of my ex-friend. Meanwhile, for the next week, Albie and I were hard at work preparing for the qualifying round. And we succeeded. Our musical lyrical piece was so captivating that the jury unanimously accepted us into the project. The thought that we were given a chance to perform from TV screens in front of the whole country made me breathless and dizzy. When we were leaving the hall after the audition, we saw Rita in the back row. My ex-friend seemed to seethe with anger and barely contain herself. She came up to us and said with a caustic smile, "You filthy scum, why didn't you tell me about this audition? I would have immediately told you the truth. You're dull and you'll never succeed. Why embarrass yourself in front of the whole country? They took you in the project just to laugh and turn this show into a comedy. Believe me, I know what I'm talking about." Rita hissed at me. Albie asked his cousin to shut up and took me outside. "Don't listen to her, Hannah. Rita is wildly jealous of your talent. Yeah, sure, they're casting her for commercials because of her good looks. But what's next? Emptiness and abandonment. And you have a very promising future, and this TV project will open the doors for you that you didn't even dare to dream about," Albie said. His words had a calming effect on me. And when the time came to shoot, I went on stage into the spotlight with no fear of all the cameras. I made my inner choice and confidently stepped towards my dream. The whole studio gave Albie and me a standing ovation.